DC Multiverse!
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad the DC Universe Geek, and today I'm going to take a quick look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Green Lantern Kyle Rayner in his very classic suit, and the Wallace West Kid Flash from DC Rebirth. Kyle Rayner comes with two energy construct accessories, one being a piece of samurai chest armor and the other one being a samurai sword, while Wallace comes with two pairs of hands, two for punching and two for running, as well as four lightning bolt accessories that can be attached to the figure. Both of these figures look pretty cool, so let's take a look at each of them individually, starting with Green Lantern Kyle Rayner. So starting out, we're going to have a look at his lantern constructs up close. And these are really well done. I like the armor, I like the spikes, I like all the texture in the front and back plate panels of his suit here with the lantern on the front. It's a fairly skishy rubber, not completely skishy, but skishy enough that you can easily fit this over top of Kyle. As clearly we can see, it just fits right over his torso. Really easy. And then of course there's his lantern construct samurai sword. The hilt for the sword's been really well done, and you can even see, if you look down here, let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. You can see there's even a design all the way around the guard. The figure itself actually has a very nice 90s feel to it, with the great big boots, the straight basic black and white bodysuit there. His gauntlets look nice, and the face sculpt is actually something a little different than the previous one. Side by side, you can see that one is smiling and one is straight-faced. So they're actually a completely different facial sculpt, although they do have the same hair and the same mask. The new face sculpt seems to have somewhat of a 5 o'clock shadow, which, you know, I don't really like the 5 o'clock shadow thing on Kyle. I like my Kyle clean shaven. The basic sculpt for the bodysuit is exactly the same as the previous Kyle Rayner figure, and it's a good thing that it's fall, making it sweater weather, because this actually looks like a sweater. I like the fact you can see all of the individual stitching on his suit, but the more I look at this stitching, it looks like a sweater. It looks like one of those fine thread sweaters. And I like it. It's just very unique. If there's any question as to whether or not this is the actual classic version, well, the logo gives it away. This is the actual original Kyle Rayner Lantern logo. Even when he wore a suit like this, in a more contemporary time, the logo was different. Todd's gauntlets are also very well done. You got the pad over the elbow here, the guard, and it's softer rubber, so it'll come out of the way if it needs to. I like the fact that they go into the hand also like they're supposed to. Todd McFarlane has definitely done his own kind of thing here with the gauntlets, but I like them. As can be said for Kyle Rayner's boots that go up over the knees. Again, you have a softer rubber over top of the knees here that will come out of the way. I like the line work with these. Todd really knows what he's doing with adding his own detail but not making it too difficult. Here he is compared to the previous Kyle Rayner action figure from McFarlane Toys, the DC Direct version from a long time ago, and the Mattel DC Multiverse version of Kyle Rayner. As for the articulation, you'll find that it is probably about the same as the last. Oh wow, there's like very little in the torso. Hold on a second. The previous one actually had more motion in the torso. Maybe this one is just stiff because it's the same sculpt, so it should be getting the same motion. Let's try to loosen it up here a little bit. It's still getting less. Markedly less. He also has 360 at the waist, armpits with the rounded hinges and the socket. You know he's going to have a bicep swivel. You got the double jointed elbows, head on a rounded ball joint. You got down here, you got that basic McFarlane groin that obviously, I was going to say obviously doesn't have much of this, but this one's actually not so bad. I always wish it had more motion than this, but that's more than a lot of them get. That's not too terrible. And we have the double jointed knees, the molded ankles, which are going to be a pivot with the toe. Yeah, not too shabby. Same articulation pretty much as the last one, only the torso for this one's a bit more restricted. And now why don't we turn our attention to Wallace West. Right off the bat, I brought in McFarlane's version of the son of Superman, John Kent, and we should be able to notice pretty much right away that this uses all of the exact same body parts except for the feet and the head. Well, the torso has also been modified to have the lightning bolt on the front rather than the S, but the same basic digital sculpt was used all the way through to make these characters. You can really notice it on the ankles. Those are clearly John Kent's boots that have just been repainted to look like the Flash's boots. Not bad though. I feel like this body buck actually works for Wallace West. He's a more slender character, and I think that he is about this height in comparison to Wally and Barry, so no real complaints about the reuse of this body. Oh, and he has his own trunks area too. You could tell because, well, Superboy doesn't have lightning bolts on his. The lightning bolt logo on his chest is probably my favorite out of all of the speedsters. I kind of wish that this is what was used for Wally as well as Barry. And Wallace's face looks really good. I like this for a face sculpt. The paint applications on mine are about average for a mass-produced 1999 American action figure. Although coming down to the boots here, I'm not going to try to be nice about this. I'm just going to be straightforward and say that that's a mess. The black lines where the red and the yellow meet, that's really messy. I feel like maybe resculpting the calves to accept maybe, you know, these black lightning bolts or jagged lines to be painted easier or better would have been a better decision. Same thing with the gloves. I mean, it's actually just a mess. Like if I was to compare this here to Mattel's version, I mean, we can see that the Mattel lines are actually neater. And I remember complaining a little bit about the paint lines on Mattel's version of this character, so I guess as far as that goes, we didn't really know how good we had it. But we might as well compare these two also while we're at it. I like both these figures. They're both actually very good takes on this character. Overall, I do like the McFarlane one better, and I just think that it's a better figure overall. Although one place that the Mattel definitely has it beat is with the ear wings. Some people may or may not like the face better, but I like these ear wings a lot better when compared to the ones that were sculpted onto the body for this one. And here we have Wallace in comparison to a whole bunch of other McFarlane toy speedsters. At this point, there's not much else to do besides the articulation before I share my final thoughts, so let's go through that and have a little look and see if it's any better or any worse than the previous John Kent Superman figure. It's probably going to be about the same, being that it's the exact same body parts. Not much forward. That's one thing I really would like McFarlane to do better, is the forward articulation, because that is kind of an important piece of articulation. Everything else, though, for the torso, it actually does it, you know, quite well. The figure does it quite well. We've got the socket, we've got the rounded hinge, and we know what they're going to do. The elbow, which is double jointed and it squishes up nicely. We have the molded, shaped, rounded hinge wrist, and that goes right down. It definitely looks a lot less ugly when it's been shaped. We've also got the head sculpt, which is on the rounded joint. What do we get with this? About that. That's not too bad, actually. You can look down nicely, look up nicely. That's pretty good. He actually gets more head than John Kent because he doesn't have all that hair in the way. So he can actually move his head around quite nicely. You've also got the waist articulation that is very tight, but it will do 360. You've got the groin down here with the clickety ratchety hinges, and they're very articulated. Of course, there's a little bit, but it's mostly negligent, but there is something there. That's not great, but it's better than nothing. We have double jointed knees, and then we have the rounded shaped hinge in the ankle area, pivot, and full toe articulation. So what do I think about Kyle and Wallace? Are these figures good, or are they garbage? Is it worth the pickup, or should you just pass on them? Well, if you're an old school Kyle Rayner fan, as I am, you're gonna love the new look. It's actually the look for Kyle Rayner for a lot of us. And then Wallace It's just nice to have a wallet because we don't get very many of those figures, and it's nice to build up that Flash family, and this is not a terrible looking figure. We are universe building here with McFarlane's DC Multiverse. He is pumping out more and more characters that are non-Batman related every time we get a reveal, and I am all in and I am there for it. Anyway, I guess that's all I have to say, so have yourself a super awesome DC day, and I will see you with the next one. Bye-bye.